What's going on? It's the Trial and Error podcast. It's Brian and Fearless. This week is a little bit different. We did most of the rich dad, poor dad stuff. Um, and I had a couple of things top of mind, but I wanted to circle back to the weird outrage that I'm seeing in some spaces online. And this might be, and initially I'm kind of leaning towards this is some holistically online garbage, but people were really mad about the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show to the point where they had their own separate halftime show. And then the people that had a separate halftime show were mad that at the football show they sung the Black national anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and said that sold division while they had to watch their own halftime show because they couldn't deal with the halftime show that was there. They
Well,
needed
what do
their
you
own.
mean left every voice the same? What do you mean?
Oh yeah, so that was another thing. So there's two pieces of grievance that fell around the Super Bowl. One, the Bad Bunny halftime show. People were saying it was divisive because he spoke Spanish, I guess. And then the other one was they were mad at Coco Jones because the NFL has started having people come out and sing, lift every voice and sing, because I mean it is Black History Month, and typically when I was growing up, whenever we went to a church function or something, or some formal ceremony that was Black folks, that we sung lift every voice and sing, and it got nicknamed the Black National Anthem just because of around 1919 it was just kind of widespread and everybody was singing it, so they nicknamed it the Black National Anthem. And so people were mad because they were singing the Black National Anthem during Black History Month at the Super Bowl, and said, well, there's only one national anthem and it should apply to everyone, notwithstanding the third verse about slavery. That
Right, and lift every voice and sing
Yeah,
is including everyone
right.
to lift every voice and sing, as opposed to the third part of the stanza
Yeah.
from Francis Scott Keys. So
Mhm.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And so what it was well, one thing, there's a couple of factual things, right? So I think it was like it had to be 1931 or 1934 when Francis Scott Keys' national anthem became the official national anthem. Like they're singing it before, but it didn't become official until around that time. Meanwhile, Lift Every Voice and Sing, the NAACP, it kind of informally said it was the Black national anthem and nicknamed it that around 1919.
Hmm.
That's one, and then two is a quick, fast way to show that you're not really been in any kind of community with Black folks or anything, or been around Black folks. Because I remember, and my mom used to go to all the Black History events. We'd be going to all the other stuff. Every time before we even started, after the prayer, somebody would sing "Lift Every Voice and Sing," specifically during Black History Month, and so people were mad about it, and it's a really bizarre thing to get mad about, because like when we were doing it, I mean, I remember going to white people were singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing." It's pretty much a gospel song, and so people were really locked in on that piece of it, and then saying the Super Bowl halftime show was divisive and blah blah blah. And I realized in online space specifically, there's people that have built entire careers around complaining about this shit. Like that's what their entire life and existence, their entire contribution. Hi, their entire their entire contribution in anything in online discourse is finding things to complain about, and complaining it's not the way that they want it to be. And more times than not, it can come on both sides, but one side is saying, hey, we would like to be included and represented. And the other side is we don't want them people represented because it shouldn't matter. And so that's why I was kind of inspired to do like this entire episode about real grievances versus grievance culture, and just the economy of being pissed off online. So that's kind of where I'm going with it. And so it was just kind of an interesting thing to see during the Super Bowl where people were really mad about it. Like they're officially mad at who was it? I forgot what some former Fox News lady was crashing out online about it, talking about yeah, there's 40 million people in the country that speak Spanish, but there's so many others that don't, and blah blah blah. And like she was like going in on it and saying it should be meatloaf. How she said? She said it should be meatloaf. It was Megan Kelly. It should the Super Bowl should be apple pie, meatloaf, and maybe fried chicken. Yeah,
Okay.
your blink is the right reaction. That's what I did last night when I saw it. Like what? And so it was, and that's how she gets attention. Like she finds things in American culture or any in culture that's happening, that's jumping off, and
It's tough.
like,
Okay.
and then her audience joins in, and then they complain about it, and then it matriculates over to YouTube, and then somebody will do an entire hour-long video about this thing that pissed them off. At least because somebody that doesn't look like them is doing a thing, or is in a movie somewhere, or is getting represented in a way that they don't think that. And so it's their entire ecosystem around this kind of shit. And so that's kind of where we're at.
So I'm sitting there writing this stuff down. Sorry, guys. Whenever we're discussing stuff, whatever, I get to writing. And one of the things, so there's three concepts that I kind of thought about. One of them that Chris Rock said, he said, a lot of people in America are looking to do three things, or one of three. And one thing is we want to be either famous, infamous, or be a victim. So I'll say that one more time. We want to either be famous, infamous, or be a victim. And more times than not, we'll settle for victimhood, right? Bad Bunny. So first and foremost, football. Football, contrary to popular belief, is not as popular as we think it is in the West. Most people around the world don't give two shits about American football. They don't care whatsoever. Now, if you throw soccer into it, billions upon billions upon billions of people watch soccer. They love soccer. But American football, not whatsoever. Now, here's another thing. Bad Bunny is known around the world. And because he speaks Spanish, and a lot of other people speak Spanish, that gets way more eyes than somebody like Kendrick Lamar, or somebody like Rihanna, or somebody like Paul McCartney. You see what I'm saying? He's going to draw more attention. So you may not necessarily like the performer. Dude, you know how many years that we sat through and watched somebody perform? You know what you do? Get up, go grab something to eat, take a bathroom break, store run, something like that, and get back before the time's up. Who gives a shit?
Well,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we're sitting there complaining about something and about the Super Bowl thing. Who gives a shit?
well, and
I want to say one more thing.
go for it.
Bad Bunny is American, and not all Americans speak English.
Yeah.
I want to say that again. Not all Americans speak English. And when I say America, Mexicans are American too. Canadians are American too. We forget that America is a fucking continent.
Well,
North and South. And Bad Bunny talked about that during his performance when he said, God bless America, when he grabbed the football. And then he started naming off all of the other countries within our continent. Canada's American.
yeah.
Mexico's American. what is it? The DRC is American.
Right.
Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, it's fucking American.
Right.
So there's nothing more American than this dude performing at the Super Bowl.
Right. And I think that's where it is the idea that America is a continent. And we're talking
continent.
And specifically people, when they say it, American, they mean somebody from the United States, narrowly.
Correct.
And
that's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on you for thinking that shit.
And the thing about it is, because there's a couple of things here. One, football, NFL is cognizant that they're trying to expand into a global game, because okay, so you got NBA and NFL. NBA is kind of they've kind of accepted. Hey, we might not get the same views as the NFL, but cumulatively, we got 82 games a year, and so we're going to get more views. Maybe not in one shot, but cumulatively. But it's also an international game too, because it's one of the biggest sports in China, the biggest population in the world. There are NBA players that can go over now who may not be able to make an NBA team. They'll go over to China and make an absolute fortune. Stephon Marbury was one. He was massive in China.
He got dual citizenship.
And so
which is almost impossible apparently to get.
And so we're talking about it. The NFL is trying to get a big of a market as possible. They already started doing games in Mexico and things like that. And so they're trying to really get into this global South. They're trying to get into Latin America, for better or worse. It's being cognizant of, hey, this thing is not for me, and that's cool. Like I said, I sit there in Super Bowl 39. I sat there in Super Bowl 39 and listened to Paul McCarthy and the Beatles scream at me off key for 15 minutes. And I got up and said, yeah, I'm gonna go do something else. Back in the days, like I remember there used to not be really it'd just be a marching band or something at the halftime show. And In Living Color said, hey, halftime show's boring. Come tune in to us. Come watch us.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
And they switched over, and people switched over. I remember at my house we switched over to watching Living Color during the halftime show. And then the next year, the NFL had Michael Jackson on stage. The next year, because they're like, oh, we lost a lot of people dropped out, they stopped viewing. And from a commercial standpoint, those commercials are what drives the Super Bowl. People paying for ad time absolutely makes the network a huge amount of money during Super Bowl season. And so all those people switched over to Fox to watch In Living Color during the halftime show, and they lost a lot of money on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really what that is, and that's what it's about. And so you got to understand there's a global game being played here. And so they're going to go out and try to find the artists who have the biggest global audiences or have the biggest spotlight on them at the time and try to get them into the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny represented that. Year before was Kendrick. He had the biggest platform and they put him on the biggest stage because they knew he could reach the biggest global audience. And that's just how it went. And so there's a lot of strategic sides of it, but here's the reality. A lot of times people are having issues with it's not the artists themselves, it's the color of the artists or the genre of the specific artist. That's what they're having an issue with. Because
do you think that they had a trip to feel as K-pop?
Probably. I think that I don't know. I think they would have tripped as long as it's anything that because people were mad about the Kendrick one, people were mad about the Dr. Dre one, I remember.
Really?
Yeah, man. Like I said, the online grievance culture is crazy, man. People get mad about seeing popular artists perform. And like I said, I watched the Super Bowl halftime show for years, and there have been plenty of years I'm like, ooh, I don't like these people, I'm not going to watch it. And I just turn the channel.
Yeah.
But again, it's understanding that when you're talking about pop culture, if we're talking about pop culture and whatnot, and realistically, when we're talking about pop culture, one of the things we need to understand is who are the purveyors of pop culture? Who are the ones that are establishing the trends in pop culture? You know, it's going to be marginalized people. It's going to be black and brown folks because that's just how it is in this country. More times than not, the ones that cross over. Yes, there's going to be top 40 stations, and there's a lot of white top 40 artists. I'm not saying that, And if like Sabrina Carpenter or somebody was performing in the Super Bowl, I would have been like, all right, well, that makes sense. She's popular right now. She's hot right now. She's in the spotlight right now. But it wasn't. And people are tripping off of it. It's just kind of a weird thing to get pissed off about. But a lot of times, and I think the language around it is kind of what's driving me crazy, because the language is his show was divisive. How is Bad Bunny show divisive?
Yeah.
I mean, people were saying it was divisive because he was speaking Spanish, bro. Like, what does that even mean? It was divisive because he was speaking Spanish? Now, you can say I didn't understand what he was saying because he was speaking Spanish, but to say it was divisive, I don't know. And so I think a lot of times people divide themselves or feel it's divisive. Like, I wasn't saying the Super Bowl show was divisive when it was like tribute to country music stars, right? Like, I wasn't saying that. It does look weird that you have a game that's mostly black folks playing it and it's country music, but it is what it is. You're catering to your audience, right? You're catering to who you think your audience is supposed to be.
I mean, right, but you also got to remember too, people go to operas all the time too, and you don't speak, the language for that, but you still understand what's going on.
Right.
So it's kind of like the same type of thing or whatever, if that's not your thing, then it's not your thing.
Right.
If somebody's performing and you don't like it, go do something else.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, off top. I mean, I watch the Super Bowl for the commercials, personally. And then occasionally I'll watch the game. I thought this game was actually pretty good. I think I watched it probably to like the fourth quarter, then I was like, I'm good. Well, you know what I mean?
And
but other than that, I thought that, other than that, I thought that the performance, I thought it was amazing. I didn't know what the hell that guy was saying, but I felt what he was saying.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Well, it's a show. It's a visual. There's a visual element to it too. And I think people forget that. Like, I remember the most iconic Super Bowl performance I've seen one of the most iconic ones I've seen in my lifetime was Prince doing Purple Rain in the rain. Like, the visual of it with the rain coming down and the stage lit up and everything, it was a stunning visual. It's a show. It's a show. And so he's putting on a show. And I think, like I said, people are just, I don't want to say people are just looking for something to be pissed off about.
No, they are.
Yeah. If somebody's
looking for something to be pissed off about.
If somebody speaking Spanish offends you, then you got a problem. That is a you issue.
I mean, Ricky Martin was on there.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga was on there too. She spoke English.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
And people don't know, like, you talk about Ricky Martin, man. Ricky Martin back in the days, like, all right, so
was Menudo.
Yeah, Menudo was huge when I was growing up. And so dude's been a star pretty much all my life in some way, shape, or form somewhere. And I think, like I said, people were kind of scrambling and searching for, hey, this pisses me off. Well, the show's divisive. How is it divisive? Well, they're speaking Spanish. They're not speaking English. So it's not for you, and that's okay. You can go watch the Kid Rock show. I don't know why you would do that, but you can go watch Kid Rock's halftime show, and get in the mood to go steal some catalytic converters or some copper wire out of somebody's house. You could sit there and listen to that. I'm not a huge Kid Rock fan. I've been off Kid Rock for a long time. And so, but if that's what you want to listen to, go listen to it. Nobody's stopping you. But the commentary is weird, bro. Like, we need to bring Kid Rock on the Super Bowl show.
It's weird. How's that weird?
Well, Kid Rock wasn't divisive. He wasn't divisive. I saw bro on there using some slurs on his show. He got busted with the weird pedophile lyrics that they pulled up. That's why a lot of people were pulling out of that show with them in the first place.
Why are they judging him on that? If I mean, there's other people who done far worse. So why are they tripping on him about that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. A lot of the people that watched that show weren't judging him on that, but they're mad at Bunny for speaking Spanish. It's like, if we're looking at things that are, if
you're watching Kid Rock and you're not watching the Super Bowl, what do you have to complain about?
Yeah, you got what you wanted. Watch Kid Rock.
Watch Kid Rock. And then once that's over, you go back and watch the other show.
Yeah.
Done. No harm, no foul.
Well, and so a lot of it comes, the entire grievance culture, what it does is it basically, I think the bigger point I'm getting to is people have built entire empires or entire media empires, media conglomerates around multimedia presences, I should say, around being permanently finding things that piss you off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's their entire brand. Their entire brand exists. Hey, this pisses me off. There are YouTube channels out there that were literally that started because it was some angry nerd somewhere mad that this character in this specific book was Black or Latino in the movie and not in the book. And that jump-started their entire career, just being mad about that kind of stuff. There are YouTube channels right now that they exist because some dude is mad that there's too many Black people in this video game, or there's not enough white dudes in this video game, or they don't think the women in the video game are attractive. And they'll have entire shows about this shit. Like they'll have entire 2-hour live streams about this. People call in and say, yeah, man, this is ridiculous. And it's get a hobby, man. But that is their hobby.
Maybe that is their hobby, right?
That's what makes them money, is what I'm saying. The reason why they're doing it is because they get paid from it.
Hmm.
And so they've tapped into the vein of finding outraged people and complaining about things online. And more times than not, it's about pop culture. And more times than not, it's about how they feel that including a woman or including Black person or including this person or that person who doesn't fit what their expectation is, how that's destroying the franchise and media and all this other stuff. Acknowledging other people exist, essentially. It's just a weird thing. And it's a weird kind of society ecosystem that springs up around it. And I don't think it doesn't necessarily bring anything positive or creative into the world, but it is what it is. So
I get it. I don't necessarily know if I don't. I've been seeing a lot of people upset about it. I don't understand.
Well, and I guess the corrosive feature is it shifts into public policy, where now you got state legislators pulling articles and stuff. And I actually did something else about they'll pull articles, snippets from media things that are out of context already, and crafting laws because they read this thing in this blog that pissed them off that was out of context anyway. And so now we're going to make laws about this thing. And that shouldn't happen. Was a couple years ago. Do you remember was a state senator here? He made national headlines for saying this. He was outraged that schools were allowing kids to identify as cats and dogs and use litter boxes. He thought that was a real thing. He brought it to the floor of the legislature and stood up on the mic with a straight face, looked me and you dead in the eyes and said, this is the problem. Kids are using litter boxes in schools, man. The woke ideology is out of control. Like, what are you? That doesn't even sound like, as crazy as that sounds. If you really think this could possibly be a thing, that's crazy enough that you probably need to go verify if that's happening before you make a stand on it. But
what type of meme is this? Is it a joke or something?
Yeah,
for sure.
He was 10 toes down on it, bro. Like, yeah, man, this is outrageous. These kids are using litter boxes in school. Like, where is this happening? I think you read a satirical article and thought it was a real thing. Or you listen to some other crazy person say this hypothetically, and you forgot the hypothetical part of it, and just said, "Oh, this is a thing that's actually happening." His grievance made him look like a fool, and he got clowned. Like people, he's popping up on comedy clip shows and everything because he really was pounding the table, think this was something that was happening. But that's what grievance culture does, man. It doesn't care about what's factual. It just cares about he was mad about it. He saw this thing and is mad about it. I'm outraged about these kids using litter boxes. That's not happening anywhere, bro. So that's what I'm saying. It becomes harmful when it actually starts shaping laws. Because that was the impetus to start shaping laws about kids and identity and all this other stuff. And now we're going to legislate like gender identity and all this other stuff from the state house, as opposed to we haven't had laws around it. We haven't had needed laws around it. But now we're going to have laws about it. And so that was the door that opened that one. It started out with a grievance thing. I see a thing I don't like, and so now I'm going to make a law about it, even if it's not real.
Even if it's not real.
So, where this sounds like the plot of a book somewhere, man. I'm trying to remember the story I can reference.
So I was looking at languages, and the top 3 languages, well, actually, I would say the top 4 is Mandarin, which is Chinese.
Yeah.
English is 1.5. Hindi, which, okay. And then 4th is Spanish. I mean, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. So, and I think that if we were to look up how many eyeballs watch the Super Bowl versus how many eyeballs watch the Stanley Cup. No, right. Not the Stanley Cup. What's for soccer?
The World Cup.
The World Cup. I guarantee you there's a plethora more eyes that watch that than they watch our American football.
Yeah.
Like, just saying.
Well, and it's the single biggest marketing event of the year in America, right? Like, this is where all these people dump all their money, and so that's why it's a big deal here. And yeah, it's our favorite. It's our national sport, which is cool, I guess. I don't have a problem with it, but I think people end up losing perspective of, regardless of how y'all feel about it, the NFL is still trying to become an international game. And I've said that.
Yeah,
I just said that. And so they're going to absolutely chase down opportunities to get a wider, broader audience of people to possibly watch the game. And even though it's broadcast nationally. And so yes, there are football fans around the world. It's a smaller audience than your soccer fans. It's even smaller audience than your basketball fans, right? But it exists. It's a real thing. And so the NFL's cognizant of that. So it's a marketing opportunity. And so you guys are mad at these artists or whatever. I know Kid Rock came on and said Jay-Z was a diversity hire because he's kind of been the coordinator of who, booking out artists or whatnot. Kind of the liaison and stuff. It's a weird thing. Like, people are mad because it's like, well, we need to have country music on there. Well, country music is like, I guess it can be international. It has an international audience, and when it's time for that, it will come around. But for all these years, it hasn't been necessarily black and brown artists on that stage. We've had a couple, but more times than not, it was mixed in with other people. And so now people are mad about it. It's just like the entire, people mad about the war on Christmas and all that other stuff. It's just something else to be pissed off about because the world isn't as simple.
What's up with the Christmas thing?
Oh, people are mad because, people say happy holidays because there's other holidays around Christmas time.
Yeah, correct. It's not just Christmas. It's
people get mad. People get mad when you acknowledge that fact. It's like the outrage machine runs, and like I said, it's lucrative. And so I think maybe that's the point I need to get into because I'm kind of circling and circling and circling. There's a lot of money in outrage.
Of course there is.
and feeding people's primal things. But here's the dark part of that. And we've talked about it, I've mentioned it on this show before. When you start tapping into the primal nature of human beings, that's when you start unearthing some dangerous stuff. Because it doesn't take much for some of these people that are addicted to this outrage bait online to decide they need to take action. And it's happened before. And it's going to happen again. It's happened, somebody sees something on TV, gets them wound up. Oh, well, we're getting invaded by Muslims. I need to go blow up this mosque. Or, people are mad at Jewish people, so they're going to go shoot up the synagogue. People are mad at black folks, and so we're going to go shoot up a black church. These things happen because of the outrage machine. And more times than not, when they kind of do the autopsies of this or start figuring out how this person got to that point, they start looking through the internet history. Oh, they're in all these hate chat rooms and all this other stuff. And that's the ideology that they consumed endlessly. And the people that are feeding them the ideology feel no connection to the outcomes that they're creating. And so that's where it gets dangerous, where people are taking action, whether they go through the legislature or whether they go pick up a rifle and go do whatever. That's where we're talking about, where we're tapping into people's primal, like, without understanding why they're getting mad about it, understanding why Bad Bunny on the stage at the Super Bowl makes you mad. So that's where I'm going with it.
Here's the thing though, man. If we didn't have a bunch of other people yelling and complaining about that, I honestly don't think anybody would give a shit.
Yeah.
You probably watched him like, oh, that's kind of cool. All right. Because who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And again, I think that you have this victimized, what you call grievance culture, who feel victimized. Like, really, you're a victim because a dude is performing in Spanish?
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, that bothers you? And, I mean, here's the other thing. I mean, homeboy calling Jay-Z a DEI hire. But if I'm not mistaken, he got into rap music, Kid Rock. I mean, he got a record deal off of that. So, technically, isn't that DEI as well? I mean, you can always change up your genre if you choose to feel that way or whatever, but that's kind of what happened. Matter of fact, you were talking about early on how your idols were Run DMC. Matter of fact, you had a whole performance with them. Mm-hmm. You rocked Adidas forever because of them. So, but now all of a sudden it's something different. Well, I mean, okay, cool. I mean, whatever.
Well, when people are on his neck for getting drunk and using the hard R using the hard R slur in a live stream or whatnot, first thing he's talking about, I'm down with Trick, and you can check in with Trick. For those that don't know, Trick was kind of one thing that's unique about Detroit and their music scene is they're very protective of their music scene, right? And it comes all the way back from the days of Motown and all the other stuff. But now hip hop Detroit has its own music scene that's independent of what the national scene is. And Trick was one of the OGs in the hip hop scene. And, you got co-signed by him and it was a big deal. Well, Kid Rock felt like he got that co-sign. And so he was going to reach back and use that co-sign to say, well, this is why I could say the hard R. And Trick is like, nah. But you went out and sought the validation of a black person so that you could fit into the hip hop culture in Detroit,
which is technically DEI.
You weren't necessarily qualified. You weren't out in the streets in Detroit, man. You was a little rich kid from the burbs in Detroit, so you definitely wasn't qualified for all the street stuff you talking.
Right. So making money off of somebody else's stuff, which, again, by your own admission and definition, that's what that would be. So right. to say that Jay-Z is a DEI hire, first and foremost, the Super Bowl was boring during halftime. It was extremely boring. So since he's taken over, Look at what it's a lot more entertaining now than it was then. I think the first people he brought out was who? Well, wasn't it Snoop and Dre? And wasn't that the first time he took over?
I think so. Let me double check that.
I'm pretty sure that it was. Right? I mean, and then after that, it was, I think, Rihanna. And then you had the Kendrick thing last year. And now you have Bad Bunny this year.
Well, and J-Lo and Rihanna were in there too.
And what?
Not J-Lo and Rihanna. J-Lo and Shakira were one of those artists too, I believe.
I don't think so. I think that was before him. I know what you're talking about. I think that was before him.
All right, I'll double check it, but you might be right on that one.
Because I remember their performance.
Let's see, 2000s. So everybody freaked out about Janet Jackson. There's Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Bruno Mars, Lenny Kravitz, Missy Elliott, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay, it's back in 2013. Let's jump ahead. This is K. Dot, Usher, Rihanna, Snoop, Dre, The Weeknd, Shakira.
Yep, I forgot all about them.
Yep, no, he was. Nope, he produced the one with Shakira and J-Lo.
Did he? Okay.
Yep, that was around 2020, and so that's where he took over. But right before then, it was Travis Scott, Big Boy, Maroon 5 with Travis Scott and Big Boy from Outkast and stuff. So they took over. Well, not took over, but they helped out. Rock Nation helped out with that. The one with Shakira, because Shakira and J-Lo actually have Balvin and Bad Bunny on that one too as guests. So
I don't know.
So anyway, it's just one of those things where I think what happened is people got sucked into. Here's the thing. I look at this. I look at what's happening with our grievance politics. Like it goes back further than internet, right? Like the satanic panic of the 80s, like where everything was satanic, right? And parents were freaking out. Everything was satanic ritual, this, that, and the third. Put them kids that play Dungeons and Dragons in a blender and made them look over their shoulder.
Oh my gosh.
Everything was satanic. They're trying to take all the shows off television. People were looking at everything, being satanic in these messages and stuff like that. And people were legitimately scared about that. Then we go into Tipper Gore and her crusade against music, uncensored music. Like she is against rock music and then hip hop music and all. So it's always been some weird cultural war bullshit issue that people latched onto, and then the media latches onto it and amplifies their voices because they know that these people can generate an audience of people that are just as scared about a world that is not as simple as they want it to be. And I think that's kind of what it goes into. Does that make sense? Like,
look at that.
I think that people see a world that's nuanced, has layers to it, and it's not as cut and dry or black and white, and they freak out. Instead of saying, okay, well, I don't understand that. Maybe that's not for me. No, I need the world to be flattened into my expectations. And when it's not, then I'm mad about it. And I'm going to get on here, you know. But yeah, the satanic panic thing was real in the 80s. And I remember that.
Well, what do you call it? Satanic panic?
Yeah. Where every piece of media, like all these people are mad about everything in terms of, was it satanic? And it was kind of a groups were formed behind it, and they were having, they're getting in front of groups in Congress, having hearings in Congress about satanic stuff like that. Like I said, Tipper Gore, all them were mad about, was it they had that thing where they had Twisted Sister up there with Dee Snider's up there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. We're not gonna take it.
Yeah. And they're like, what does this mean? Song. Well, what aren't you going to take? It. What what are you tripping off of?
What is it?
Right. And so I feel like this is just kind of an extension of that. And I feel like it was all stupid. You know, I feel like it's just the world is more complex than I want it to be. You know, and I think it was kind of this, like I said, it was a moral crusade. Oh, and for those that don't know, we're talking about the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s. Um, it was kind of this weird moral panic in the United States, and it was people convinced that everything they didn't understand or everything that didn't align with them or that unsettled their spirit in one way or another was tied to the occult or Satan or something along those lines. I remember, shoot, do you remember? I don't remember, but I remember seeing like the video from Thriller. When you see the uncut video for Thriller, Michael Jackson has to put a disclaimer at the beginning of it that it's not about anything of the occult. You remember? Do you remember that? Where he had to put, Michael Jackson actually had to do a disclaimer for the video Thriller saying it's not a, because it has zombies and it's not of the occult. Like, and a lot of that was in response to people looking for something to say, oh, this is devilish or this is evil or whatever.
Right. Now, what was that book? Oh my gosh, The World of the Wars.
War of the Worlds.
Wars. What is it?
War of the World. War of the Worlds.
War of the World.
Yeah.
It wasn't Orson Welles. It was George Orwell's.
Yep. Let me look. I'll look it up. I remember the movie. I haven't read the book.
So they were doing, I think it was like during this, I want to say 50s or 60s, they were doing a radio broadcast of it.
Mm-hmm. H.G. Wells. Yep.
H.G. Wells. Okay. And they were doing, they were telling people, hey, we're going to be reading this book. It's going to be very theatrical, this and the other. Man, them people must have lost their goddamn mind. They thought that we were being invaded.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of shit, right? And people literally got scared. They were strapping up, hiding, all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Right? And they talked about this for weeks. Hey, we're going to be doing such a book. We're going to have all this stuff. So people being warned about it beforehand.
Right.
Then it came, and then now there's a problem. Now, they did that, I believe, in Mexico some years later. Man, then people went and burned that goddamn radio station down. Because that's how pissed off they were. So again, it's not just a American, like, it's not just a U.S. thing. It's people in general.
Well, and I think there's a human instinct to want to shut your brain off and just react. And I think sometimes that does override people's their higher cognitive abilities, where they just want to shut their brain off and they want a reason to react negatively towards a thing, or they want a reason to panic. They're looking for a reason to panic. And we're going to shut off higher brain activity and lean into it. Nobody stopped and said, this doesn't sound real. Like, do we have any verification that aliens are invading us or anything?
Right.
Nope. Let's just wild out. Let's the worst.
Well, we're just gonna kind of chill out and wild out, huh?
Yeah, and I honestly believe that that's kind of. I feel like people are driven by that, and there's an innate desire to just give into it, give into the panic. I don't know. I think.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what we do. It's kind of like watching a movie where you suspend all belief.
Yeah.
For a little bit, But what happens when you're doing that shit in real life?
Yeah. And
you suspend that part of reality that I'm still in a movie and I'm the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm in a movie and we are the main character. And you're the bad guy and we're the good guys. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're the savage, we're the civilized. I'm taking anthropology, and it's really funny how on one hand, one person thinks that we're here to civilize you, but every single individual, every single one of these cultures that were civilized can smell the civilizer coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
They can like literally smell them because they smelled so bad. I mean, think about that. Your stench is so visceral that people can smell you miles away coming. You know how fucking nasty that is?
It's gross.
And it ain't just one of you motherfuckers. It's a plethora of you. It's what?
Yeah.
And then you got the nerve to try to tell somebody else that you were uncivilized? You motherfuckers didn't even know how to wipe your own asses. For God's sake. Boy, the Indians had to teach the settlers all kinds of other shit. Not just about how to survive during this over here, but how to properly bathe. Because you don't want to bathe in the water that you're drinking, you fucking idiot.
Well,
It was just nasty.
I think
No reason.
When we talk about it, because now we're going to get into some historical stuff, right? Because you're talking about anthropology. Let's talk about who were the people that came and like who were the settlers, the original group of colonizers that came to the United States, right? They were super puritanical. Basically, England's like, hey, y'all gotta get up out of here, man. Like, you guys are a wet blanket. Y'all need to go. Like, here's a boat. Whatever you find, you can have. Like, that's how they treated pilgrims and stuff. Like, here's a boat. Just get out of our face. Just go on somewhere with that old shit. And so this country is founded by really kind of puritanical people, and that ended up becoming what we consider. But it's not even just that part of civilization, because I feel like this concept of what used to be considered civilized was always tied to some kind of repression. Does that make sense? We have to repress our, you have to completely enclose ourselves up to our necks. Like, you can't even show off an ankle. Woman, you're showing off an ankle. You can't even show off your real hair. You can't. You have to cover yourself in all kinds of ways. Otherwise, those evil
Puritan.
Yeah. And I think a lot of our concept of what we call civilization is actually really just absolute repression of anything that can sensationalize or titillate the brain or anything along those lines.
Right, but that's also the reason why sex is still taboo, even still to this day.
Yeah.
At least here, it is like we can't talk about certain things, or it's important, it's improper to talk about certain things or whatever, which is funny because in other cultures, they'll talk to you about sex stuff, but they will not talk about finances.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of those taboo conversations they will not have.
Or violence or hyper violence.
Yeah, they're not doing all that.
So you could go over to other countries and see depictions of sex in movies, but violence is where they draw the line. In the United States, violence is on the tape. The Terrifier movies are some of the most popular movies out there right now. Those movies are incredibly violent. You can't talk about sex, but the Human Centipede, people have entire fandoms around them. And so the way that our country is kind of structured.
You got to get this book.
Okay.
This book really talks a lot about that. It's called The Culture Code.
Tell us about it.
So it talks a lot about why are people around the world so very different? What makes us live, buy, and even love as we do? And the answer is in the codes within itself. So it's kind of like judging. It's not really a judgment type thing. It's more of a cultural thermometer.
Yep.
If you will. So like the culture code for presidency that we have is Moses. Think about Moses. What does he do? He led his group into the promised land, right? So that's kind of what we think about um, when we think about them. So there's always like all these different codes that we utilize a lot or whatever. So the way that the French code, like for instance, France, their code for freedom is an idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's their whole thing. For Germany, it's oh my gosh, which one was Germany? So okay, give me 1 second. So
Okay.
the American culture code for America is to dream,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, Two brothers battle. Okay, hold on 1 sec, because then they also have. Hold on, let me find it. So Germany, which one is Germany? Germany. So the way that Germany sees America in the United States, they see us as liberators. That's their code for America
Yeah.
or whatever. So our code for them would be like engineer because they are absolutely amazing when it comes to a lot of that. Um, we also we also attach a lot of violence to sex.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're so sex driven. We're kind of like we're like children for the most part. And at this present moment in time, we're throwing a temper tantrum.
Well, it's the idea of being completely obsessed with sex while also completely repressed from talking about it. Like, and that's kind of the culture. Like, it's kind of like this. I don't know if I don't like using the word schizophrenic culture, but that's what it is. It's weird obsession with sex, but it's the taboo topic that can't be discussed at any point in time. But at the same time, I remember very clearly in 2020, I remember saying something about it, like when the George Floyd thing went down, like, how many times do I have to watch this man die on my TV screen?
Right.
How many times do I have to watch him
I've,
die?
I've never seen that.
You know,
I
so
refuse to watch this shit.
So we have no problem showing graphic violence or images of grisly death on television, but you better not ever talk about sex in public. Or in some circles, you can't talk about money in public. And so there are very specific taboos that are really uniquely American. And then I think it does drive our grievance culture, because what's happening is, because let me talk about one very specific sphere, and I don't even have notes on this one, so I'm just freestyling on this one. The entire manosphere culture, that bubble of men that are very mad at women, and they're mad at women um, because in their minds they can't get them the way that they want to, or they can't control them the way that they want to. And so you see lots of angry screeds about this woman's doing this, that, and the third. They pick targets of famous celebrity women that have transgressed in some way and start harassment campaigns against them and stuff like that. Um, and a lot of it is tied to this weird. When you boil it down, a lot of these dudes are attracted to these women, and their attraction to them makes them angry.
Mhm.
They're angry because they're attracted to these women. It's a really weird thing, and it seeps over into other regular ass people's online discourse. I've seen plenty of dudes on Facebook that will post something on Facebook just to pick an argument with women.
Yeah.
That's real shit, and I've seen it. It's really weird, bro. It's really, and
So,
it's
so like they'll just start picking some shit like you see this slit or
yeah,
you see
they
this over here,
yeah.
whatever, just to get them pissed off, just so they'll argue back and forth.
So
Okay.
they'll interact with them. They will pick fights. They will hop online and pick fights with women just because I is it in my eyes, like, for me it's like, because I've asked somebody, it's like, is this the only way that you can interact with women? Is the only way women will talk to you? Like, what is the deal here, bro? You hating and all, like, but I'm not though. Like, all you do on your main feed is pick fights with women, and they'll come and argue with you, and nothing gets resolved. It's not conversation, it's not dialogue, it's not discourse, it's just picking a fight. And you know that you say something crazy, and you say it in a way that you know women are going to respond to it. It's a really weird way to be and interact online, but their entire space is online where that's what it is. And it's like, I remember working residential, we had kids that they were so used to, they would actually go above and beyond so that staff would do takedowns on. My shelter never did takedowns. Like, we didn't go hands on with kids at all, right? But you could tell kids they come from other places where they constantly did takedowns, and it would read in the notes, this kid likes to force physical contact, and because of that, they'll act violently, so you're forced to take them down.
Right.
And it's kind of that same thing where this dude doesn't know how to talk to women in real life or something, and so he just sits online and picks fights with them on his Facebook feed or his Twitter feed. And it's a weird thing, but it's kind of the same thing. It's the same thing I see. It's weird repression where I'm mad, where some guy is mad because a woman is attractive. He's mad at her for being attracted to her.
Right.
Why? And so that's how I view things, man. And so I think specifically in the manosphere space, it's always somebody mad, like outraged about some woman's doing something. How dare she do something? How dare she want a divorce from this guy, or want a job, or have an opinion on the internet about a thing? We're gonna have to dogpile her, and it's that same grievance culture. At least that's how I see it.
Right.
And it's just an extension of it. It goes in weird places, man. And it would be funny if that incel manosphere stuff didn't result in women getting killed, but it did.
Right.
And it has, because these guys do not know how to interact, and this is the only way that they can get stimulated. And it's like, instead of going to therapy, you posted online. Instead of going to therapy, you made a Facebook post, right? Like, so I don't know, man. I don't know where this ends up. I don't know where this terminates. Where we allow our public policy to be driven by who is the most pissed off about a thing that's not happening.
Right.
I
feel you on that. So I was going to check out. We had another individual, so I wanted to actually go in and see what such and such is up to, because I'm like, oh man, please.
Okay. So I'll continue on, guys. My experience with the manosphere dudes, because it's been a thing that's existed, since I've been on, since 2015. There used to be a lot of groups on Facebook that were just manosphere dudes, like Tommy Sotomayor, and a couple of other weirdos who their entire thing was, we're mad at women, and so this is our He-Man, we're mad at women club. What was it? They called it men going their own ways.
He was like the first Jesse. What's that guy's name?
Jesse Lee.
Yeah.
And come to find out,
Tommy Sotomayor was the first. He was like the first one.
Yeah. Well, then Jesse Lee Peterson, you find out that he's closeted. There's allegations on him, and
I don't understand. Like, what does that matter though?
That's what. Well, because how virulent and homophobic he was about stuff. Like, he was bad.
Was or is?
Is both.
The Jesse Lee Peterson, the slow black dude.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And there's all kinds of allegations on him about sexually.
I didn't know that he was. I didn't know that.
And so, and it always drifts over into, it's not just we're mad at women, but we're also mad at these groups and that group and stuff like that. And it ended up feeding and those weird dudes that was attracted to this stuff. Like they were drawn to it. And I ended up getting invited to like one of them Facebook groups. Somebody I knew like, you know, you can get pulled into a Facebook group. Somebody invites you and you're just in there. And you're like, how did I get in here? Who invited me in this place?
Okay.
I got invited in one of them places. And it was an absolute, it was the most negative thing I had ever experienced. It was the most negative place I've just a bunch of hateful, just a bunch of angry, horny, repressed, angry men.
Really?
Yeah. And everything was a screed against women. Everything. They were mad at women for everything. There's dudes in there that blame women for every aspect of their failed lives. Every aspect of failed lives. Like, I got a flat tire, it's her fault. Like that kind of stuff. And so, and the guys they're guys that had like social media follower presences, and Sotomayor was in there. That's where he got a lot of his Facebook. That's where he got a lot of his online audience. He built a platform in that space.
Wow.
It's a weird thing. And
I remember that dude because he used to dog black women constantly.
Yes, he's still doing it.
Horrible.
He's still doing this 2016. It's like 12 years. He's been doing it for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
And that's how he collects his checks. Gets on there, says some crazy racist thing about black women, and then weird guys jump on there like, yeah, man. And then they co-sign it, and then that's how it goes. But like, he's not like, so he started it, but now you got like Fresh and Fit, where Myron, I don't know if you know about Fresh and Fit, man. They are like Tommy Sotomayor for the podcast era, right? Like, they actually will bring women on the show to scream at them and berate them.
Oh, really?
Myron is a Somali American who hates black people.
Oh, yeah, I do know what that is.
Yeah, he hates.
Isn't that the same one? And they didn't invite him to some white wing type thing or whatever. And like he was just standing there and they wouldn't let him in or nothing because he wasn't invited.
Well, I've seen it where he went on Twitter and jumped in some white nationalist group that he had organized somehow, some way. And then white nationalists got on his state was tearing. It's like, we don't want you in this country either. Like, and he thought he was mad because, you know, he's like, well, I'm one of you guys. They're like, you're not one of us. Are you serious? But he built an entire platform off of fomenting people's anger. And it's made millions of dollars to that. And so my question is he incentivized to create anger, or is he incentivized to bring content that actually brings value to people's lives? What do you think he's incentivized to do if he's built his platform off of grievance?
White Brick tradition, keep it going.
Right. And I guess to me, I wonder what kind of mind is drawn to that kind of stuff, man.
I mean, at least until you get to a place where, you know what I'm saying, you have enough money, you have enough, whatever that thing is, that you can kind of think for yourself and do for yourself, where you're not beholden to those individuals anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like if you look at Tucker Carlson, for instance, or whatever, from what he was saying when he was on whatever that one show to what he talks about now, some of it's the same, but who he's going after is totally different. Mm-hmm. Who he's checking on certain things is totally different. When he was talking to Ted Cruz, and he was like, do you know anything about the country that you want to go to war with? No, I don't need to. You kind of do.
Yeah.
He's like, do you know, like who occupies this area? Do you know how many people are there? Well, it doesn't matter. There's women and children there. It does matter. So again, I thought it was, and again, I'm not saying that he's a good guy now. It is what it is. I don't necessarily look at it from the standpoint of good and bad. I just, I think all of us have have that duality in us
Mm-hmm.
to do a little bit of peace type stuff, and we also have that other part in us that's a raging piece of shit. I think that like the old adage says, it's what this is the one you feed more.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, this grievance culture, this violent culture, this culture of victimization, is victimhood is being fed, and that's also the reason why when you ask me if I know about certain shit,
Mm-hmm.
I do not,
Yeah.
because I'm like, bro, I don't want to. I'm cool. I'm cool.
I think it's a matter of, I think anger, I think for a lot of people, anger is addictive. Um, and it goes back to when I was running my group homes and whatnot. They'd ask, why don't you get a punching bag and let the kids go punch their anger out, or go hit the heavy bag until they feel better? And it's like, because it doesn't work like that. I said, the entire concept of catharsis was debunked decades. It's been debunked hundreds and hundreds of times, right?
What do you
The
mean?
the what is it? The hydraulic model of anger, right? Where you build up to a certain standpoint, you build up to a certain level of anger, and then you have to have an outburst to let it out, right? To have the catharsis. Um,
Oh wow, really?
and that, well, that's the common belief. The reality is, if every single time you get so angry, or every single time you feel overcome with any kind of emotion, you have to have a release. You only become primed, you start priming your body to store all of that, so that you can have a release, and then it becomes maladaptive in and of itself. And so what I would say is, yeah, we have a heavy bag downstairs. When the kid calms down, they can go hit the heavy bag. Well, why can't they hit the heavy bag when they're mad? Because then they'll start finding reasons to be mad, so they can go hit the heavy bag.
Hmm.
But if they want to go hit the heavy bag, that's fine. Just don't be mad when you go do it.
Yeah, that's just like with reading. Like
Yeah.
I used to get sent to my room to
Mm-hmm.
go read books, or whatever. Then it got to the point where I'd rather just get in trouble to go sit down and go read some shit
Yeah.
because I wanted to be by myself. I suppose to just go sit down and go read something, go be by yourself.
Right.
No, I got you. It's that being raised versus being groomed to do certain things. So
Right.
yeah, I get that.
And I think that's kind of the thing where a lot of people misunderstand how the emotions connect and how they work. Like, a lot of times, there's a difference between giving into your emotions and experiencing your emotions in a certain way. And sometimes people get caught up in, well, I got all this anger, I need to go release it somewhere, and typically it ends up going in some negative ways, as opposed to,
Mhm.
I have all this anger, I need to find a way to calm myself down, and then I can go engage in the things that I enjoy. It's just a
Right.
different methodology from framing things. But again, that's why in my facilities, even if we had a heavy bag, I don't need you to go hit that heavy bag to get your aggression out. I need you to get your aggression in check and calm yourself down. And then if you want to go hit the heavy bag after you calm
Yeah,
down,
no, yeah, go ahead, right.
go knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like
but
going to the boxing gym if you're pissed all the time.
yeah,
What happens when you're not upset?
yeah,
Well, I don't want to go. And you might want to try to change that around a little bit.
right.
Yeah, I got you.
Because all you're doing is locking yourself in and priming yourself to be angry. You're looking for reasons to be angry. And I think that's where the grievance politics comes in. This is where the grievance culture comes in. You have a lot of people that they're so dysregulated in their lives that the only thing they can ever feel, the only emotion they can ever feel, is to look at the newspaper, turn on the news, and feel this group is getting something I'm not getting. And so now I am outraged by it.
Mm-hmm.
And um, it ends up becoming something else. You know, this group's got, this group has got this right now enshrined in state law. Where am I represented in it? Well, your rights are already enshrined in state law. There's a reason
Right.
why they got their rights. Well, that's not fair, and now I'm angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it turns into, where it's always an excuse to find a reason to feel something. And it goes back to that catharsis stuff, where you're manufacturing reasons to be upset so that you can go release your anger, as opposed to dealing with your anger and then go after you've calmed down, going and doing something you enjoy.
Right.
So
I mean, but yeah, I think that's kind of, again, yeah, here's the thing. I think that that's also the reason why I love sociology so much, is because it talks about systems and why we are the way that we are, uh, systematically.
Hmm.
And I think that even with education, you get exactly um, what you pay for, right? So if you want that, if you want a good educational system and this and the other, matter of fact, not even good educational system. If you want your children to grow up to be a certain way, then you're going to pay for that. You're going
Right.
to invest money, time, and energy into that. When you don't give a shit, you're going to invest in that too,
Right.
or to be a lack thereof investment. I'm not going to lie to you. The reason why I'm not really online like that is because I know for a fact that we're being fucked with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for a fact. Again, I live in Bellevue. This is a military town. I am telling you, we are being fucked with. Like, and they're doing it intentionally. So, so I don't want nothing to do with this shit. Like, not at all. I like peace.
Hmm.
I understand that America is more than just the United States. Just like I understand that when you say Africa, you're talking about a whole fucking continent, not a country. Like, so you know what I'm saying? So, and again, I say that because I think that people tend to forget that there's a lot bigger things at stake as opposed to these subtle bitch ass fucking arguments that we have that you can't do anything about.
Yeah.
We can make things equal for everybody. We can. We just choose not to. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Just like I can go in my room, I can go into my PlayStation 5 system, I can switch all of my games to normal. Where when I'm playing football and basketball and Days Gone, I can make it where it's fair.
Right.
I'm not fucking doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't even. If you score on me, fine. I just don't want you consistently doing it. And guess what? If you score on me a couple times, cool. But then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back into my settings
Hmm.
and I'm gonna make it so you can't do that again. So again, I mean, and so again, like I said, I understand why people do what they do. I understand racism. I understand why you want to try to keep the 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 privilege, the opportunities, and the um well, how did he say that? And the resources for yourself. I understand why you'd want to do that. I mean, shit. If the roles were reversed, I'd keep it the same way too. I'm not taking. I'm not. I'm not offended by it.
Hmm.
I used to be, but I'm not. And the reason why I'm not offended by this, honestly, is because this is a very nihilistic way to look at things, but I'm just doing it. Nothing means anything until you give it meaning. Nothing costs anything until you put a price tag on it, right? And even then, it's all based on somebody's willing to pay for
Hmm.
this over here. So if certain people don't feel like they're being seen,
Hmm.
they're gonna be seen, like in one way or another. So they're gonna be seen for being infamous, right? You're gonna have a Martin Luther King or some uh, 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 Mother Teresa type famous type individual that does a lot of really cool stuff. But then even with that, you're gonna try to find ways to besmirch this man's name and this that, and the other. Why? Because you don't feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how many fucking presidents do we have that were doing the same exact thing that King was doing? Does that still take away from the type of person that he was? Okay, cool. So let's try this. Why don't we keep that same exact energy with somebody like Malcolm X? You couldn't find shit on Malcolm. Malcolm wasn't doing nothing like that. But yet said we don't talk about him the same way that we do Martin Luther King. So again, we cherry pick the things that upset us. We cherry pick the things that make us famous, infamous, and the things that we feel victimized on. So that's why I don't trip on none of this shit. None of it. I mean, again, and maybe that's the reason why I love philosophy so much and I love sociology so much, is because like I don't get paid to think about your shit, and I'm not going to. Like if you look at the sign that says your personal philosopher, I'm not gonna fucking argue with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not gonna see things the same. But I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm okay that we don't see eye to eye on everything. I'm cool with that.
But you gotta understand, here's the thing. Some people like it goes into kind of the subtext that we're talking about. Some people are threatened by the fact that there are people out there that don't align with them philosophically or morally or religiously or whatever. They're threatened by that.
That confirmational bias, of course.
That's a threat to them. They're also threatened by this thing is changing in a way that I don't approve of or I'm not familiar with. And instead of just adapting myself to the world that exists, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to preserve this thing that, I mean, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail against this thing that doesn't really even affect me directly. Like, you know, and I think that's for whatever reason, that's this really kind of a weird primal thing. I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
I don't think it is a primal type of thing. It's a cultural thing, and it's a Western cultural thing.
Okay.
It's not a fucking part of the fucking brain that's just we're just right. I mean, because we do have that part of the brain. But bro, here's the thing. There's other civilizations other than the US.
Yeah.
Okay? There's other civilizations outside of us who don't think like this. You know what I'm saying? But we're so ingrained and entrenched in this toxic fucking behavior that this is just what we do.
Well, I don't know, because I look at it like, you look at the countries like when you talk about like feudal Japan and stuff like that, and how isolationist they were. Like they didn't fuck with the rest of the world. Like they limited their interaction with the rest of the world, and a lot of that came down to trying to preserve the culture that they had and viewing other cultures as possible contagions to their culture. And there was and
how fucking right they were.
Yeah, well, but then also but then it goes back to why again, because there's a primal innate thing to want to keep things the same, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That people, a lot of us are driven by repetition and being able to anticipate what's going to happen next. Even people that are thrill seekers who say that they go out and chase the thrills, oftentimes they'll chase thrills up until a point, but they still even have their routines, right? And so I think there's this weird thing where some people, for them, any change, any modicum of change is terrifying to them, especially if it's something that they don't quite understand. Maybe it has to do with somebody's lifestyle. Maybe it has to do with the choices of partners that this person has. Mm-hmm. Maybe it has to do with they pray in a way I don't like, or maybe they eat a food that I've never seen before. But I think there's some people just adapt to it, like, yeah, it happens, you know, it's not me, and I'll just kind of play it as it lays. But there's some people where to them that is an existential threat to them. And I think those are the people that are really drawn to this grievance culture stuff, because it shows somebody else is angry and disturbed about this thing existing. Other people are telling me it's ridiculous, but I found my tribe of people that really, 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 really cares about this thing. And unfortunately, I think what happens is, specifically in a political standpoint, we don't deal with politicians that are balanced. Like I couldn't be a politician because I'm not extreme enough on any one issue where I can whip up a frenzy and get myself up into a frenzy about a lot of stuff. And that seems to be what you got to do to win. You have to be able to generate enough of a cult following around you that people want to vote for you now. And I couldn't do that because I'm like, that extreme sounds silly. And I don't necessarily want to be in alignment with these people that are standing on this fringe here.
Right.
And I think that's why we have the politicians we have right now, because the ones that are the people that are most extreme about stuff, and most strident about stuff are also the ones that will get out of their house and drive over to the polling center to put on a vote every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And so politicians inherently know this, and so that's the base they lean into. We're seeing it right now where our governor, if you're not in Nebraska, here's the thing you need to know about this. A lot of the super hardline partisan shit in Nebraska is kind of a modern recent invention. Yes, Nebraska has always leaned more conservative, but for a long time, you didn't really know if your politician was a Democrat or Democrat or Republican around here, because it wasn't necessarily a thing. Like you had to look up what party the mayor was in for a long time. And recent, like I'm talking about last 20 years, we're seeing this hardline partisan slant in Nebraska politics, where we would have, like we had a Democrat mayor who was also really, really super conservative. Or not mayor, a governor. We had a governor who was super conservative, but he is also a Democrat. And so Nebraska's always been like this middle of the road thing. And now we're starting to see electoral politics really play out, where we're starting to see this specific candidate's leaning hard into leaning in and getting a right-wing audience stirred up. And so now we're seeing all these weird culture war things in our legislature that we've never seen before. Or we haven't seen up until about 5 or 6 years ago. Weird culture war things like bathroom bills and all this other stuff,
Right.
And it feels like it's catering to an extreme demographic of people who are so scared of any kind of change that they will literally sign their name next to anybody. That's how I feel. And it's a weird thing in Nebraska specifically, because like I said, this ain't never been like this super liberal bastion or whatever. But like I said, Nebraska was, it wasn't necessarily, if you wanted to win, I'll put it like this. If you wanted to win the governor of Nebraska, you just had to be a boring white dude. It didn't matter what party you were in. You just had to be the softest spoken, most regular, plain, average white dude to win the governor's seat.
But you also have to remember too, though, man, is that it may have been boring to everybody else, but it wasn't boring to the campaign donors. It wasn't boring to the individuals that are going to make sure that you get into that office because of that quid pro quo type of thing. So it wasn't boring to them at all. And it's always been like that. You know what I mean? Where people that put money behind these campaigns get something out of it, right? And which is crazy because we're one of the few groups that these certain politicians will go and talk to these certain neighborhoods and these certain people and like, I'm gonna do this and the other, get in office and don't do shit. And it's just like that in general. And it's like, well, I'm a diehard this, or I'm a diehard that, Republican, or I'm a diehard independent, or whatever. Like, bro, this isn't a football team. This is your fucking life.
Well, and I'll add on to it, because the ones that actually do fight for their constituency, like they'll fight for whoever elected them, those are the ones that get marginalized the hardest, because you're supposed to get up there and play the game. You're supposed to get up there and play the game and not make waves and collect the money and get the lobbyist dollars and all the other stuff. You're not supposed to really be that aligned with your constituency. They're supposed to have a barrier between your constituency and you. There's supposed to be a layer between it. Right. And I think locally that's what made Ernie Chambers kind of a pariah in there, because I know he was hard. Like,
I love that dude. I don't care what nobody say about him. I love him.
Well, he had a clear. I think one of the things is he had, and you didn't always have to agree with what he said, but he had a clear moral compass about what he thought was right and what he thought was wrong. Yeah. And it didn't matter who or what was saying the right or wrong thing. If you were wrong, he was going to challenge you on it. It didn't matter if you were in the party, didn't matter if you were his friend or anything. And so there have been times where the same people that hated him the most, he was actually doing stuff for them. You know what I'm saying? There's specific bills that farmers were, for the farmers or whatnot, that he thought was unfair and unconstitutional. He fight just as hard for the people, and they didn't vote for him at all.
They didn't vote for him. Matter of fact, they didn't even like him.
Right. But and so now I think that's why, like I said, I couldn't be in that lane of politician, because I'm like, I can't sit there in court. Like when I see the specific, like locally, domestically, the governor leaning into this hardline right-wing stuff, and we go align with the turning point and all this other stuff. It's a signal, because he's understanding that in his mind, his seat is in jeopardy. And so instead of reaching out and talking to more people and expanding his appeal, he's got to narrow it down to his most fervent group of followers and show that he is as extreme as them. And that may be who he is, that may not be. But that's kind of what we're seeing play out right now. It's really interesting to watch. And I'm saying this as a black person who lives in Nebraska, where this shit ain't never been for me. This ain't never been for us, bro. Like North Omaha, specifically North Omaha, is the redheaded stepchild of the entire state. They treat North Omaha like it is Detroit. Like North Omaha is the Detroit of Nebraska. And
like them motherfuckers over west ain't whooping their wives' asses.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying, beating her ass. And we know, because we done seen it.
I used to live out west.
Dude, step outside the bar and beat her ass.
I used to live
in front of everybody. You don't see that shit on the news. You don't see none of that on the news.
I used to live out west. When I had me and my wife had an apartment out there. We would see just as much crime. Cars are getting broken.
Yes.
We hear just as many gunshots.
Yes.
And out in the rich part of town.
Boy, them motherfuckers is horrible.
And the reason why we heard it so much was because, and we never heard the cops or anything, because there were never any cops. Like I remember sitting there talking to my wife. We're in our apartment one day. We're both North Omaha kids. And so I'm sitting there like, the thing I notice about driving around out here is there aren't any police patrol. Like you don't never see you never see the police out here. They say they're patrolling, you'll never see them out there. Meanwhile, I go back to where my mom's house was. There are cops that are bored. Like they're out patrolling and they're bored because nothing's happening. And so and Fearless and I know this, the fastest way for a cop to start manufacturing criminal things is to be bored, because they have a certain level of activity that's expected of them. Mm-hmm. And so now we got to start writing tickets. We got to start pulling people over. We got to start finding ways to look like we're doing something while we're on the clock. And that's why enhanced police presence in neighborhoods drives crime numbers through the roof. Because when you over police an area, you have so many cops in such a small area, such a limited area, there's not enough for everybody to do. But they have this expectation that they have to do stuff to make it look like they're being active on the clock and not just killing time to get a paycheck.
Right.
And so now they're incentivized to go out there and these, BS citations for nothing. And that's why we're saying bored cops create crime. And so in West Omaha, you didn't see that. And there are plenty of times where we sit there and watch some meth head in the parking lot trying to break into people's cars and stuff. And you call the cops and they're there in 32 seconds because they don't have anything else to do.
They got nothing else to do.
And so, but yeah, we heard gunshots. We heard all kinds of crazy stuff out in West Omaha. We've had more drama in our West Omaha apartment than I've had in 13 years in my house in North Omaha. And It's just how it goes. And so that's what we're talking about, man. Like, but this idea that, but you get into the Senate or the legislature, and we need more police in North Omaha. Why? Well, the crime rate's up. Well, crime rate's up because you have more people watching and more people generating citations and interactions with the public because they haven't anything else to do. Here's the reality, and this is going to piss people off. Enhanced police presence doesn't necessarily do anything because police don't necessarily deter crime. They just report it and they log it and document it. I can count on one hand where a cop was there to stop a crime when I was growing up. More times than not, they come after the fact to log it, document it, report it, do whatever they're going to do.
Right.
And so when we start talking about people in neighborhoods with heavy police presence, the reason why the crime rates are up because there's more cops around to log and document the crime. When I lived out in West Omaha where there's a low police presence, you never saw them. And so, the crime rates are lower, even though we still experience car break-ins. Like our car was broken into multiple times out there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Brian. You seem like your car would be broken into.
No, actually, it was my wife's car.
Oh, her too.
Her Jeep was out there. Her truck was out there, and the window got smashed. And people were and there was nothing there. There was nothing in the car because we grew up in North Omaha. You don't leave stuff in your car.
Nah, I left a gun in my car once. Man, I didn't see that thing for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the police called me and like, hey. We have something down here for you. And I went in and they're like, is this yours? I'm like, actually, yeah. Yeah, that gun had been stolen. Oh my God, yeah, it was about 10 years later. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying, where it's a matter of we didn't leave anything in our car. And it was broken into because some meth head was on some kind of weird mission outside. We watched him walking around the parking lot screaming at nothing. And then he busted the window of my wife's car.
Of course he did.
And it's like, in a neighborhood where there's enhanced police presence, that would have been logged and documented as something. For us, we're like, we'll just go get the window replaced. I don't even know who this dude was.
Right, yeah.
I don't even know who this dude was. I don't feel like sitting there talking to him. And so that's what I'm saying, y'all. And I know we kind of went far afield of what we're talking about, but in the state of Nebraska, and specifically the political scene in this country, you can't be a politician unless you cater to some extreme demographic of people who are 100% fervent and locked in on this one thing. And that's the entire thing. Like, you have to generate a cult of personality around you in order to get these people to follow you. So,
right.
All right, let's see where we're at.
Yeah, where are we? Because we're an
hour and a half in. The attention economy. Let's talk about that. So we talk about the attention economy, and it's a social media. It's kind of a social media thing, but it's also a regular media thing. When we say the attention economy, what we're saying is the world where attention is rewarded through some kind of external thing, whether it's a like or a share or something. It doesn't have to be tangible. It can be something completely digital. This person, my video got viewed over 1 million times, right? That's what the attention economy is. And a lot of times the people that live in this grievance space, that's what they're driven by, is attention. Now, some of them will learn how to monetize that attention, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for them, the biggest payoff is the fact that people are looking at them. And so how do they get more people to look at them? They say more insane, aggressive shit.
Hey, let me ask you, bro. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever watched the show Veep?
I've seen parts of it. I have not sat down and watched it.
Oh my God, bro. That is one of my favorite shows. I just went through the whole thing again. It's about 7 seasons. And oh my God, like I just went through the whole season again. I do it every once every couple years or whatever, because it's just so funny. But what I'm seeing right now is like there was this one guy in there.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Jonah Ryan,
Mm-hmm.
and Jonah Ryan, like he is like the pre-Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and it's crazy as shit. It is so funny the stuff that he says, and they still voted for this dude. And then by the time it, by the time everybody's kind of like, whatever. This dude's vice president, and then you find out. I think like at the end, I think on the last episode of the show that they impeached him for something that he had done, which is kind of like, yeah, like of course you're gonna do that to him. But anyway, I'm just saying it was funny as fuck. Man, I died laughing. It was so funny. But it's just one of those things like he was just talk shit constantly.
Yeah.
But he was just really like that in general, which is not necessarily indicative of Donald Trump. I remember people talking about before he was president, like he was cool and calm, whatever, right? But again, though, that's the guy. But
Yeah.
then from a business standpoint, you hear people talking about like they've been pieces of shit forever.
Right.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? So and and here's the other thing. The thing that I love about what's happening today is that you're getting to see what people are actually like unfettered.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you get to see what people are like just with the gloves off. You get to see it all. And I love that.
Well,
Like I love it.
I've said it informally off of here, but I said, we were never meant to have this level of access to people's incomplete thoughts.
No.
We were not meant to have this level of where somebody can get online and post some half-baked, half thought of, half conceived, ill-formed thought, and they can blast it out to millions of people instantaneously. We're never meant to see this
Hey.
because
No.
because this is where you capture people at their rawest, but you're also capturing them at their absolute worst. And so,
I love it. I love every minute of this.
because you get a chance to see who people really, really are
Yes.
when
I don't have
chatting.
to wonder. I ain't got to wonder no more. Because you're going to just tell me.
Right.
Whether I
And
want to know it or not, you're going to let me know. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
and that's one of the things, like we should all know less about each other, just a little bit less. And I think, but that's what I'm saying with the attention. When we start talking about the attention economy, the attention economy, the algorithms really reward um, generating attention. It doesn't matter what kind of attention it is. But the reason why is because, like I said, our brain deals with shit that is, if something looks out of place, our brain will attach to that faster than will attach to something that is matching our expectations.
Yeah, that part.
And that's dangerous. That can absolutely be dangerous. I used to tell my workers all the time, when they were going into homes, you read the document, you read the file on this family, right? I need you to forget everything you saw in that file before you go into the house for your initial assessment, because you're going to be looking for the referral behaviors, and I promise you the family has gotten has mastered hiding those referral behaviors, and you'll be looking for them, and you'll miss 5,000 other things looking for this one thing, because you're trying to pay attention to this one thing. And so um they're going in with a specific expectation to see something, and then the expectation gets subverted and they miss it because they're not paying attention for it, because they're looking for one thing. And that's how our brains work. And so the attention economy is this. We'll take we'll take we'll take a lie over an incomplete story.
Yeah.
Like, all somebody has to do is create a lie, and we'll take on that lie over something that is just an incomplete narrative. Like, there's not a whole, we don't know enough to have an opinion about it, but then somebody will get up there and lie about it, and we'll accept that lie faster than something that is incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
That's how our brains work. And so when we do that, that's where these outrage people can come in, because they can get up there and say something that is completely a lie. But as long as the lie sounds confident, you can get enough other people angry enough to react to it.
Yeah, that part.
That sounds like the plot of something.
Right.
That sounds like the plot of a lot of something.
You're right on that. It does.
And then people lean into virality. Well, here's the thing. All right, so I for those that don't know, in my real life, I'm a marketing consultant, right? I help people figure out their marketing stuff. One of the things I found, like on TikTok, is this. Somebody will make a video on TikTok, and the video will get 3 million likes, right? And they don't know why this video get 3 million views. They have no idea the mechanism which made this video get 3 million views versus their other videos, right? Instantly, they're like, well, now I'm a video marketing consultant because I had one viral video and I don't know how it went viral. And people will pay them money so that they could tell them how to go viral themselves, and they'll pay them money, it'll never work. Because the person who they paid doesn't really have any idea why their video went viral either. And that's kind of what happens in the attention economy, where you'll deal with somebody who sounds confident over somebody that may be hesitant and hedges a little bit and say, it may not turn out this way, versus this confident person like, no, it's 100% going to work like exactly like this. And that's how this thing works. And so, like I said, people will take a confident lie over an unconfident truth, if that makes sense.
Yep, no, for sure.
And so, a lot of media literacy gets lost in that stuff, man, where you're just seeking things to piss you off because, like I said, people take incomplete stories, incomplete narratives. You know, the one I'm seeing right now because we started out with this conversation about the Super Bowl. Now I saw this morning on one of the social media things that I follow, some guy jumped on there and said, in real life, Kid Rock's performance outperformed Bad Bunny's performance. No, it didn't.
How the fuck you were watching?
But people were sharing it like it was true. Like, see, we were right. We're validated. Our confirmation bias, it finally worked. Our confirmation bias finally worked. And people are posting it like it's true. And it's like, why would you lie about something that is so easily disprovable? And the reason why is because a lie will go around the world twice before the truth even gets off the starting pad.
Okay.
You know, what's up?
No, keep going.
An interesting lie is more, an interesting lie is just that. It's more interesting than the boring truth. And people latch onto it.
Right.
And that ends up becoming how you feed somebody's outrage. A lot of times, when you're dealing with somebody who's lingering in these outrage places, like your Fresh and Fit and things along those lines, they're sitting up there telling you half-formed thoughts or half-formed narratives. They're excluding things, the context that will actually make it a truthful statement. They're intentionally omitting that stuff so that they can keep you hooked and keep your adrenaline spiked with your anger.
Right.
You know, that's how they keep you aroused. I mean, that's basically what they're arousing your anger and keeping it foaming at the mouth by feeding you stuff that's half true. And then you go off and take these half-baked narratives and half-baked things and clips and stuff that you heard on a podcast, and that ends up becoming stuff that you think is real. Right. And then you say it to people who actually know what they're talking about, and they sit there and look at you like you're out of your mind. But then that's where you're like, well, you don't trust the experts because the experts are wrong about this thing. No, the experts are right about a lot of shit that they actually have expertise in. That's why they're experts. Now they can be wrong when they are trying to be experts in fields that they're not experts in, or they don't have expertise in. But the experts are wrong because they don't agree with me. Or, I know this is a novel thought, maybe you might be wrong for disagreeing with the person that has 20, 30, 40 years of entrenched experience working in this thing that you heard from some podcaster working in this subject that you heard this podcaster say. So,
right. Yep.
All right.
No, and that's kind of, That what is? Oh my gosh, what law? What principle is that? Um, isn't that the Dunning Kruger effect?
Yeah,
Whatever, where we think that it's one thing is one thing, and then you look down and it's actually not at all.
right.
Yeah,
Or you overestimate your ability to know something. And I think people confuse competent or confidence with competence.
correct.
Do I feel confident in this thing? Well, yeah. Well, then it must be true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how life works. So anyway, um,
Nah, man, today you kind of went in, boy.
I had a lot going on, man. I apologize.
Ah, I love it. Good stuff.
So
I love it.
we're gonna wrap this thing up, man. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like I said, I got a lot going on, and so I had a lot to kind of get off my chest. So we'll catch you later. I think we might have to find another book or something to discuss to kind of debunk some of the mythology around it. Um,
Hey, actually, I don't know if we'll be able to debunk it per se, but if you have some time, you should read this book here. Risk is the New Safe,
okay.
and this is by Randy Gage. Small little book. It's absolutely amazing.
All right. So risky is the new same. I add that to my reading list.
Yeah, Risk is the New Safe. I would add this. It kind again, he wrote this I think in 2012. I've read this book is so good. I read it twice.
I think the one I'm working on is was it Save the Cat Writes a Horror? Save the Cat Writes Horror. And it's about basically deconstructing horror movie screenplays and horror books, and talking about the thematic elements and some of the common themes of it. And so that's the one I'm reading right now. So I'm gonna look up that other one.
Yeah, I would. I mean, especially if we're talking about this type of stuff, whatever. This is one of those books that, again, like I said, it's a really quick read. It's, let's see, I don't know how many. It's about 140 pages, maybe,
Okay.
if that. Again, it is a really quick read, man. Small little, tiny little book. You know me, I do a lot of annotating when I write, and this book was, to me, the book was so good that my comp professor stated the assignment was to write something on how and why AI is taking over work.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Work something or whatever. He was talking about. What was he saying? Oh, give me a second. He said something about. Hold on, which one was that one? Then 7 or 8. Anyway, so he was talking about. Oh, okay. I can't see it because I've already done it. What was the assignment again? The assignment was why is it that hold on one sec here. Oop, hold on. I think I found it. What is today? Oh,
10th.
shit. Okay, nice. Yeah, oh, did he grade that already? Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. So, yeah, here it is. So, he said nice. I'll take it. Thank you.
Okay.
So, my paper was the future of artificial intelligence in the workplace. And I use him.
Mm-hmm.
I use this book right here. And I also use another book called The War on Normal People.
Okay.
And that was by Andrew Yang. And the subtitle of the book is The Truth About America's Disappearing Jobs and Why Universal Basic Income is Our Future. And UBI is, UBI as a stimulus check.
Yeah.
He was the one who was actually talking about that a couple years before. So his book came out in 2018. So again, it takes about a year or so to write a book. So 2017, my guy had been already talking about this stuff, published the book, and then 2 years later, we started getting these stimulus checks. Here's the thing. What we think is just something that's probably not going to happen. I guarantee, I'm telling you right now, mark my words. Those stimulus checks, we're going to start getting them. Probably not anytime like soon, but it's going to become a part of your income in general. Because AI, right, and again, it's not even AI. AI is artificial intelligence. This is intelligence, right? This isn't even artificial. It is intelligent. Like, it is knocking jobs off like crazy. UPS just they're letting go 30,000 jobs. 30,000. Amazon, 16,000. Majority of these jobs are basically white collar type jobs. And one of the things that Andrew Yang was talking about in The War on Normal People is he was talking to all these people that are in the construction, and not construction, but the transportation industry. And he's like, yeah, they're all like, yeah, we're just getting our CDLs and this, that, and the other. And he asked him the same question I've been asking some of these CDL drivers. What's going to happen when you have driverless trucks?
Right.
And they're like, well, that's not coming. I said, I swear on my mama, it's already here. Like, it's already here. Matter of fact, he was the one talking about the automated kiosk in McDonald's. Go to any of the places for the most part, except for Burger King. They have those kiosks now. Eventually, you probably gonna only have one or two people. Correct. Well, okay, but here's the thing though. I like where you're going with that. The only issue with that, though, I'm sorry about that. The only issue with that is that I can actually back it up with actual facts. Because I used to think like, dude, what's going to happen with this, that, and the other? No, sir. There's actually evidence supporting whatever, article after article after article, not opinion pieces, but actual articles that are, as a matter of fact, checked.
Well, okay, I know. A boy out in Silicon Valley's been talking about this, and what some of the people upstairs are talking about, and they're using AI to remove redundancies in workforces. Here's my thing. I have an issue when we say, I think when we say that this person is useless, or they're not needed anymore. I think what we're seeing is this has always been the natural trajectory of this country, where we'll take 4 jobs and try to consolidate them into one and hand it to one person.
We've been doing that.
And then you put a timer on how fast they're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it goes. And this is what happens when this country has been in full extraction mode, where we are fully in this mode of seeing how much capital we can squeeze, how much capital and how much work we can squeeze out of every single human being. It ends up becoming, employer can tell younger employees they're, but I guess for me, it's like AI will replace people, but not the cost of the layoffs. Actually, it is in Amazon. They said that.
No, actually it is.
They said that.
Because I'm looking at my paper right now. Like, that's exactly what they're saying.
They said that at Amazon.
Liberty Switcher, I don't know if you ever go to Live Now with Fox. I can get you the actual article. It's not an opinion piece. It's from their articles, from them. They're saying this, not me. They're saying this. They said that Amazon is cutting thousands of jobs, roughly around 16,000 corporate positions globally in early 2026, following due to its mass cuts and layoffs, including significant cuts to white-collar positions, mainly because of AI. Because They don't need these people anymore. I mean, matter of fact,
And it's not and
it's almost like this right here. Matter of fact, let's use something that everybody knows. When you go to Walmart or whatever, do you know the reason? Like when you go to Walmart, the reason why you don't have all those cashiers open, you I don't know if you know this or not, but they started getting rid of a bunch of people, like in general, and that's the reason why they have all those kiosks, and they don't really help you. You basically bag your own stuff, this and the other. Hence, when you walk around Walmart or other places like that, you rarely see employees. You got to go hunt them down, like in general. But here's the thing, it's been like that. It's gotten worse because we automated stuff. And that's kind of what's going on right now. Randy Gage talked about in his book, this book right here, he's talking about the emergence of automation. And again, he was talking about this in 2012 based on something that was already happening. So again, we can talk about from the AI standpoint or whatever, but it is because of AI that we are moving from here to there.
well, I think, and also Liberty, I want to urge caution against this because I think it's reductive when we say the people that got laid off or fired somehow were deserving of it because they were poor employees or whatnot.
Yeah.
Or redundant employee, because it is, like you said, it is a
Yeah, no, it's
CEO.
not just,
It's the CEO,
but a lot of it is.
and I think the CEOs are finding a scapegoat so that
Yeah.
so that they can make themselves not look like some of the vampires some of the vampiric shit that they're actually doing to people.
Yeah.
Where we're in this full blown extraction mode.
Well, you need a strong man.
And so I think the idea of, okay, so executive disability. Okay, so let me throw this in here. I'm neurodivergent, right? I got ADHD diagnosis that I've had since I was a little kid.
I'm just an asshole.
I'm 46 years old, and so I did the ADHD thing in the 90s. And the only reason I had the diagnosis, but my mom didn't follow up on the diagnosis because of this. I was all in the gifted courses and everything, and a lot of kids that were neurodivergent or have ADHD were actually gifted in that gifted slot. The reason why my mom didn't push the diagnosis when I was little was because back in the 80s and 90s, if you had that diagnosis, they would track you into remedial classes. They would shove you into remedial classes, regardless of whether you needed those remedial classes or not, because they kind of tried to warehouse you. And so for me, and I come from working with kids and working with families and working with kids that had different mental disabilities and things along those lines. Now that we actually recognize this and accommodate them in high school, this is the way to prevent it prevents prison incarceration. It prevents suicides and stuff like this, because you're actually accommodating these kids as opposed to letting them go through their childhood thinking that they're crazy. Because I experienced this as a real thing. But I didn't have to study in high school. I just could figure it out. By the time I got to college, I thought I was crazy and stupid because nobody told me why the numbers flip on me, why numbers invert on me, where I could look at 41 and see 14, and I could tell you, I know it's a 41. I could think it's a 41, but I will still say 14. And nobody would tell you you're not crazy. There's something going on with your brain, with your processing is off and stuff like that. So I don't think that the disability accommodations in college are necessarily a bad thing. Okay. I think,
everybody has their own learning style.
And
in general, yeah.
And I don't think it necessarily is a disability as much as my brain processes the information differently than a lot of people. And sometimes I'm razor fast on stuff, and other things I need more time to process. And so I think the idea, the framing of it is what I'm arguing with. I'm not necessarily saying that this is not factual or anything, but it's the framing of the disability thing as the reason why the jobs are redundant or going away. I do have an issue when we're saying that these employees that ended up getting fired, that it's all their fault, because I worked at an organization right now. I worked at an organization where they literally took one of the top performers who had been a top performer for years, and they fired him because he was making too much money. They retired him because he was making too much money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier to get rid of one and bring in four,
right,
with that one salary.
And so
I mean, that's the objective, or to take that four into one and get the same exact amount of work done without having to pay you an arm and a leg or give you benefits.
Competence gets punished in different ways. I got written up because in my office, I was working, did family support, but my office was off site. And in my office, it was a dead zone for pretty much any kind of phone or cell phone or anything, right? And so if my staff was trying to reach me on a cell phone, they could not reach me, and they couldn't. There are situations where they couldn't call. They needed to text because it was a delicate situation. Well, the signal wasn't going through, and there was nothing I could do about it. And so I said, well, since this is before they started allowing text messages to come through on Wi-Fi, before that was widely adopted. And so I adopted I found a Slack channel and let my employees use the Slack channel to contact me with stuff if they could not get through via call, if they couldn't call and they couldn't reach me via text because I was in a dead zone. And I got written up for it. And so I said, so you'd rather my staff not be able to text me some delicate information because you guys put me in a dead zone in my office, and the IT won't come to do anything about it.
Right.
I said, I just saved a kid's life doing this. Well, this is not how we want things done. So I think when we start saying that and saying it just like that, I think what happens is we end up punishing competence. And I think a lot of people that are very good at their jobs end up getting run out.
Go get something?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
So
I had oranges and
so
Euros, but I could use something else. Hi, Brian.
Hey, what's going on, Anya? So what we're gonna do is Liberty Twitcher, thanks for tuning in, man. We're about 2 hours deep in this thing, and we've gone far afield of what we're talking about. Right, cool. We'll resume this conversation here. But we'll put a pin in this. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been the Trial and Error Podcast. I'm Brian.
Fearless here. Sorry about that, guys.
I'll talk to you guys later.